Good morning. Welcome to another session of Angie Speaks with our esteemed guest, Dr. Brown. Last week, we talked about how to manage our thoughts so that we can navigate the splinter in our lives to get clarity in, during this crisis. And today we're going to expand on that conversation. Thank you for joining us. Know that you can leave as many comments as you want or ask questions. This is the time to do it. And we're going to jump right into our session. Good morning, Dr. Brown. Thank you so much for joining us again. We are looking forward to your expertise as a life coach for the past 20 years plus. And we know that the audience will benefit greatly. So today we want to focus on, like I said before, clarity in crisis as it pertains to self-care and how self-care can be of great benefit, how important it is during this time, and exactly what that means from your perspective.
Well, thank you for inviting me again. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And jumping right into it, last week we talked about eliminating the negative thought of fear. And today, as you said, we're going to focus on looking at ourselves and the part that taking care of ourselves can play in terms of helping us to handle negative emotions.
So when you say taking care of ourselves, I mean, right now I need to get my nails done and my eyebrows done. What are you talking about?
So taking care of yourself does include getting your nails, your eyebrow, and just making yourself pretty on the outside. Okay, that's great. It's important. But we also want to get pretty on the inside.
Get pretty on the inside.
We usually don't think about ourselves as having more than one part to us. We have our bodies, we see that, and that's just that. But that isn't it. There are other parts to us. There's our soul. And that's very much a part of us, but that cannot be seen. And our soul consists of our mind with our thoughts, our will, our emotions, our imaginations, our intellect.
So now you're getting really deep. You're taking us from the surface, from the nails and the eyebrows and the manicures and pedicures, which we can't get now anyway, and we're going to go deep. Is that it? We're going deep.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the soul. We're
going
to have a soul talk, y'all.
And in the soul, the part that we experience in our souls that we are most aware of is our emotions, which could be, positive or negative. And that depends on what kind of a spirit is influencing us. And in terms of spirit, there are many different ways that we can think and talk about spirit, but I'm talking about it in terms of love and hate. Okay. If we have a loving spirit, in other words, we have people around us that are loving, they care about us, they're looking for our best interest. When we have those thoughts, those kinds of people around us, they're sending us positive, encouraging, and supportive thoughts. And if we are a loving person, then we are able to accept those thoughts. And, in accepting the thoughts, it helps us to think clearly, to rationalize what's going on around us. It helps our emotions to be at ease. And then it helps us to have good imagination. In other words, we're always thinking about what's the next best thing we can do to help ourselves and to help the people around us. So,
in other words, we want to get rid of the toxic people. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yes.
I know it sounds harsh, but that's basically what you're saying.
Well,
get rid of the toxic people in a loving way. Yes.
Well, yes. Well, by taking care of ourselves, you see, we're not focusing on them so much. If we focus on ourselves and we get ourselves in the best, we put ourselves in the best position that we could possibly be in, that in itself takes care of toxic people, because we simply won't allow them in.
But sometimes you really can't tell when someone is toxic, because sometimes sometimes they're your parents. They come in so many different packages. Sometimes it's your children. Sometimes it's you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's, how do you identify whether or not someone is toxic?
Okay.
Especially if they're close to you. I mean,
yes.
It could be your husband.
Yes.
Scary stuff.
Real stuff. And not as scary when you understand it. In terms of answering that question, I'm going to focus on that when I talk about how to take care of the spirit, about what the spirit is all about. Okay.
All right.
But so these thoughts, let's say these loving thoughts are coming into us. They make us feel good, and that leaves us at ease, meaning that, we're not able to focus on taking care of our physical self, eating properly, which is a real challenge today, with all the various kinds of things out there that are available for us to eat. Just very briefly, I'll say, before you eat anything, try to look at the ingredients. And if you can't pronounce them, you probably shouldn't be eating them.
You can't pronounce? That is so true.
I think, perhaps at a later time, I do have someone that I work with who's a health coach, and perhaps I can bring him on for a few minutes to explain how to eat properly in a few words, But eating properly is very important, as well as exercise. Some kind of exercise is better than nothing, and the more that you can do, the better, without overkill. So sometimes we can overdo anything, but a moderate amount of exercise is good. And then sleeping. If we're able to sleep, then certainly that that helps us to see and understand clearly what's going on. Otherwise, we're in a fog. In any event,
sleeping is very these days. For a lot of people, sleeping is a real challenge. So you're saying that they focus on taking care of the soul, it will help them to sleep? Is that what that comes down to?
The focus of taking care of the whole self, not just the soul, your whole self. I'm focusing on the physical part right now. You have to make sure that you're eating right, you're exercising, and make time for sleep. Now, there are a lot of aids out there to help us with sleeping, but one really basic thing is, before you go to bed at night, that's not the time to be thinking about your problems. Because if you're thinking about your problems, what you're doing is you're giving your body, you're giving yourself the message, your mind the message that there's a problem that still needs to be worked on. And even once you're asleep, your mind is working on that problem. So therefore, what you want to do is you want to think about pleasant things, and that could be different for different people. But you want to focus on pleasant things, either by reading something that is calming and soothing, or watching a show, or having
distract yourself. It sounds like a distract.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely.
Because I've had sleepless nights, because I struggle with anxiety, which is my splinter, and sleeplessness is the worst. So distracting myself, certainly, it doesn't. I mean, sometimes it's hard to even do that, but that definitely helps.
Yes. Well, it's a combination of things, and I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but what I'm going to do is try to hit on the main things in this segment, and that is these three things need to be done to take care of our body, and putting effort into exploring more. If you have questions, the internet is there, and I did offer, my time free to folks. So if anyone wants to contact me by my email or my Instagram, which I think is flashing somewhere, but it's Dr. Gloria Brown at a very special place. And then the Instagram is Ask Dr. Mom. It's Ask_Dr. Mom. Okay. But
guys, you can reach Dr. Brown, 20 years of practice. With her experience will be greatly beneficial to you at Ask_Dr. Mom on Instagram. And her email is Dr. Gloria Brown at a very special place. Yes. Take advantage of the 30-day free coaching that she's giving during this time of when we need clarity in crisis.
Right. Okay. So we talked about taking care of the physical self briefly, and then taking care of our souls is really is monitoring our thoughts, because our thoughts eventually, as it goes through our will, our intellect, and our imagination, it's centered and expressed through our emotions. And so, and our emotions, again, is affected by the types of people that we have around us, and even the types of people who have been around us.
In other words, your past,
yes,
will have an impact, even if they're not here anymore.
Certainly. In fact, most psychologists believe that most people operate more in the past than they do in the present. That's why there's this whole emphasis on meditation, on mindfulness. It just means make an effort to pay attention to what's going on around you. But again, it's very hard. It's very hard, I recognize, but it's possible. And hopefully by the end of this segment, you will have an idea of how. All right. Now, the other part of it is the spirit. And most of us don't think about spirit, or we think about it in ways that we can't really relate to on a day-to-day basis. And I've broken it down into, either someone who behaves lovingly or somebody who's hateful. And as you said, Angela, sometimes it becomes hard to tell the difference. Why?
Yes, it does.
Because hateful spirits don't tell the truth.
Hateful spirits
they
don't
lie.
tell the truth.
They lie. Okay? And why? Because the goal is not your concern. And unfortunately, you're right. Those kinds of people are in our family, they're in our community, they're on the jobs where we work. Usually on the jobs where we work, and even in the community, depending on what type of community you belong to, we identify those people as, some of them as narcissists. Okay? These are people who are completely selfish. I mean, self-centered. And that's not the same thing as loving yourself. Because people who are only focused on themselves don't even love themselves. These are people who have had an awful past and who have decided that love is a worthless thing, except to use it to get what they want.
Is it possible to be a narcissist and not know that you're a narcissist? Is that possible?
It may be possible. The idea is that when we've been who we've been for a long time, we think it's normal.
It's that dysfunction. We have a great relationship with dysfunction. Oh, I get it.
That's an excellent way of putting it. But that's exactly what it is.
A great relationship with dysfunction. Oh, yeah.
Whether or not you know the name, you know how it feels. You know how it feels when your feelings don't matter.
So how
You
would
know,
someone who wants to change, how would they know that they should seek help? Like, they don't know they're narcissists, but they know things are not working out necessarily. Well, maybe it is working out for them if they're a narcissist, right? Because it's all about them. I mean, I'm trying
well,
to figure out how would somebody get the help they need if they are a narcissist and they have a hateful spirit infecting everybody else around them. How would they diagnose themselves? Like, how would they know?
generally, okay, generally when people are, think of it as just extreme selfishness. When somebody is extremely selfish, even if they don't know it, someone has told them somewhere along the line,
It's extreme.
hey, you only care about yourself. What about me? The whole relationship with narcissism, though, is a kind of is an unhealthy voluntary relationship. Just very briefly, okay? You see, this is the reason to take care of yourself. People who don't take care of themselves look for other people to take care of them.
Wow.
And the narcissists, what they do is they recognize that. And so they create a fairy tale for you in the beginning of the relationship. And then, yes, you know, you're the greatest, take you here, do all, you become the center. The very thing that they want, they give it to you for a short time.
It's like a bait and switch kind of situation.
Exactly. But it's a precise thing that's done, because people who are narcissistic, and there are others that know how to do that as well. People who are psychopathic, who are very functional, they're very functional psychopaths, and then antisocial personality. These people know how to assess where you are in life, what is your pain, what are your needs, and they create a package. And they give it to you. And they give it to you for, huh? I'm sorry?
They study you and give you what they think, what they know you need or you want.
Well, yes. And it's usually they're very, basically. Absolutely. That's absolutely a key aspect of anybody who is a hateful person. The idea is that somehow or another you're convinced that you can't ask somebody for something. They're not going to give it to me. The narcissist certainly knows that. They've been asking from a little child, and from a little child they haven't gotten. And so they make up their mind somewhere along the line that they're never going to get anything straight out. Now, this is not only for narcissists, but, you know, I'm emphasizing the narcissists right now. And by the way, everybody has, according to psychologists, you know, some amount of narcissism in them. The problem is when you have too much. And one key example that everybody can relate to is people say that our president is an extreme narcissist. My way or the highway, okay? That's what narcissism is about. And you can't be around that and not know it. You stay around that when you're convinced that the fairy tale that you were sold initially is real, and you don't want to let go of it. See? And the reason why you don't want to let go of it is because there's some amount of unhealth in you that you are not dealing with. And when you deal with it, you're able to get clarity, whether it's, you know, clarity sometimes, it sounds great, it is great, but sometimes it's very painful. And the reason why it's painful is because you have to accept things that you otherwise probably would prefer not to have to accept.
So it comes down to the fact that if you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to identify that you're in a dysfunctional relationship with people around you or with narcissism.
Yes, yes. And, you know, let's focus on the hateful person. I'll just, you know, go back to that, whatever type they are. they enter again by appealing to something in you. You accept it, but they know exactly when to drop the charade. Even psychologists haven't figured them out, you know?
They have not?
We know
Psychologists haven't figured them out. We have problems.
Well, you know what? We as human beings think we have all the answer to every issue, but we really don't. You know,
that's true.
We have a good guess, and and a good guess is better than nothing. You know, just than leaving your situation the way it is and not addressing it. But scientists, psychologists, people like that have spent their life studying human behavior, and they study patterns. And based on their study of patterns, they can give you a pretty good idea of where things are going. But they also have their limitations, which they say, you know? Yes. There's only one without limit, and that's God. Okay.
All right. That's true.
So far, okay, that confusion, the confusion is a real confusion that people experience that leads to unstable emotion. I guess you can say, maybe people can relate to this, but it's a state of being tore up from the floor up, okay? Not functioning.
I've definitely been there. Unstable emotions. Oh yeah.
And when you go there, okay, you are entering a world of serious dis-ease. D-I-S-E-A-S-E. You're not at ease anymore, like when you're in a loving relationship. And scientists have just joined those two, dis and ease, and it's called disease. What type?
Produces disease. Got it.
Yes. So what kind of disease? Doctors say from 80 to 90% of whatever physical issues we have is related to our thoughts. And how is that happening? The thoughts register into the body. I think there's a book, someone wrote a book about it, and I think it's called The Body Keeps the Count, but it's that idea, you know? Those negative thoughts register into your body, keeps you all stressed out. The body's not meant to be under continual stress like that. And if it is, then certain parts start to break down. And whatever breaks down is whatever is your genetically, that's your vulnerability, you see? Right. For example, you know, heart problems, you know, CHF, diabetes, stroke, all the chronic diseases. This is how serious not taking care of yourself is, but most people don't see it because when you're young, usually it doesn't hit right away. I think they're beginning to, there's some exceptions now, because even right now, young people are, you know, becoming iller than they have at any other time that I know of. So many young people having heart problems and being at, yes, the major thing seems to be heart problems. And why? Because young people are stressed out trying to figure out, how are they going to manage? Where is the money going to come from? How am I going to earn a living? You see? So this is a time when everybody is stressed out about something. And so it becomes very, very important to take the time out to address, to do your personal assessment. Where am I in these various areas of our lives?
Which, by the way, is the bedrock of our program, Heal, Aspire, Grow. Visit our website, Eve Speaks. We can help you with that whole process of taking inventory, as Dr. Brown just mentioned, and to assess where you are so that you can take care of the whole self, the mind, the body, and the spirit, or the soul, so to speak.
No, the mind. No. See, the mind is part of the soul. It's
okay.
the physical self, your soul, and your spirit.
And your spirit.
They're separate entities.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little bit about the spirit and hatefulness, okay? You don't need a degree to figure out if somebody's behaving hateful.
No, you don't.
You know, all you have to do is walk outside of any, let's say any ghetto, and ask anybody, do you know what a hateful person is? And they'll have an answer for you. You know?
That's true. That is very true.
But oftentimes that part of us is ignored and treated as if it doesn't exist. And it does serve a good purpose, because if you're not addressing it, if you're not aware of it, you're not even going to address it. You see?
Right.
So I want to
well, we're getting close to the end. We're about 5 minutes left.
Okay, all right. So the idea is this, you know, for many of us who've overcome trauma, when we become successful, one of the things that we struggle with is guilt. And the guilt is connected not only with our internal problems of leaving somebody else behind, but the people that we've left behind, if we haven't truly left them behind, they heap enough guilt on us as well. And when we start thinking about guilt, then that creates anxiety. We're not safe. Where do we belong? We no longer belong in that place where we left, and we don't know where we're going to. And so that leaves us in a very frightened place. And sometimes what that can do is lead to self-destructive behavior. As in, I spoke about it in the last segment in the book, To Dare, It's Easier to Succeed Than to Fail by Dr. Coase. He talks about a nurse who came through a traumatic experience, reached the top of her career, and the only thing that she allowed herself was a place to live, a nice place to live, and food. All the rest of her money went to her family because they always had a reason why they needed it more than she. And that, you know, she wasn't a good person. So taking care of yourself really helps with that and family matters, with narcissistic, opportunistic people, keeping them out of your life, and living your best life.
To become the next best version of yourself.
There you go.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Brown. That was very insightful. We strive here at Eve Speaks to navigate the splinter, to live stronger than our splinters. And certainly during this time, we need clarity more than any other time in this crisis that we're going through with COVID-19. I really hope that our audience on the replay will certainly take you up on your offer to go to our website, evespeaks.com, and sign up for a group coaching session where you will be giving additional tips on how to have clarity during this time of crisis. Thank you again, and we will see you next week for another episode of Angela Speaks, where we'll be focusing on clarity during this crisis. Have a great day. Bye-bye.